this is going to be great.
Welcome to the White House Pod with David A.R. White.
We have an unbelievable guest. I'm so excited for this guy because, he has interviewed me a lot over the years. And the only time I ever get to hang out with, wait for it, Billy Hallowell, journalist, competitor. I think it's commentator. Just checking people's, what is this digital TV host who has covered thousands of the biggest faith and culture stories? That's true, though. Anyway, first of all, Dylan, how are you?
I'm good. I am really good.
You feeling good today?
I am. I'm excited for our guest.
Yeah. Do you know that he is investigating the supernatural miracles right here?
I do. I've actually known Billy for a few years.
Everybody who knows Billy loves Billy. Billy Hallowell, ladies and gentlemen. Where's the applause for crying out loud?
There should be the applause.
There will be an applause. There will be.
I'm a competitor, so I'll take it. I'll take that.
Yeah, I'm feeling a little bit like, ooh, I have a competitor on here, and I clearly I was super nervous on your introduction because I know how well you introduce people, and then you got me, and Dylan was supposed to help me out here, but he really didn't aid at all.
I love that you're doing a podcast, by the way, because I feel like for years, and maybe I didn't say this to you, but I feel like I did. I'm like, you should do a podcast. And here you are. I mean, you really have me to thank is what I'm saying. So I'm excited that you're doing it, though.
Well, on behalf of Dylan, we just want to say thank you so much for, giving us Ben would actually say that he gave the kernel of the idea. He actually did. He
takes credit.
He said you should do a podcast like 6 years ago, and I was like, podcasts are so boring. Nobody wants to lison to a podcast.
But don't you love it now? Don't you love it now? You're doing it.
Well, it's more. I feel a little bit selfish in this podcast, and I'm gonna be a little bit honest with everybody. Is that I get to hang out with Billy and Dylan and new guy over here. What's your name?
Oh, my name is Noah. Good to meet you.
Wow, Noah's got a good voice. Oh my gosh, he may take over both of our jobs, Billy's.
He may take the show over. Be careful. I like that voice.
But for that reason, actually, it's I don't know how many of these you've listened to, but most of the time there's pretty amazing stories, and Dylan and I are always blown away with how smart and intelligent and also deep the stories actually are, and entertaining. Not to mention, your team is amazing, Dylan. So, all right, Billy.
Yeah,
I'll pay you later.
Where do you live right now?
I am just outside of New York City, so I'm on the opposite side of the world from you right now.
I think when I met you, how many years ago did I meet you? Like 10 years ago, 15?
It may be like 10 or 15. It's definitely over 10. It's been a long time.
Who were you with at the time? Were you doing reporting with the Blaze at that? Or CBN at that time?
I was with the Blaze back then. Okay. Yeah.
You have interviewed more people than just tell the audience a little bit about your background. I can read it here if you like, and you got a new project investigating the supernatural miracles, that's amazing. That's cool.
Yeah.
What's going on with you these days? First of all, how are your kids?
My kids are great. They're 9 and 12 now, which is crazy. And you know this, like they grow so fast, everything changes.
My kids don't grow; they just stay there.
Your son is very tall, actually. It's crazy.
6'3".
Things have been busy. Things have been amazing. We have this film investigating the supernatural miracles. It hits on March 11th, and it's a documentary. And honestly, I'm telling you, it was a challenging project for me on a number of levels, but it basically looks at real life miracles and not like, hey, here's all the details. It's all true. Just believe it. It's like, here's evidence, and you have to decide whether you believe it or not, whether you believe these people have had these crazy miracle healings or not. And I left it incredibly challenged. Honestly, it was pretty amazing.
Where are you from originally?
So I'm
going to get back to your supernatural,
We'll get back there. We'll get back there.
Miracles.
Ben Lauro, our friend, publicist
extraordinaire.
We are both from Rochester, New York. So I am from the same place that he is from.
Did you guys go to the same high school?
No, he's a lot older, but we actually lived.
You could have still. The high school just went away? Like you could have went to the same high school.
We could have, but we didn't. I just wanted to call him old. But he was a few towns away, and but yeah, he still has family there. I still have family there. So yeah, I grew up in Rochester, and honestly, you were asking about like I'm 41 now, right?
Yeah.
So I started
You
in
look like
media
you're
when I was
33.
18. Well,
It's
I'm
true.
getting older, but
the last time I saw Billy, he was like wearing a tuxedo at the inauguration.
that is true.
Yeah.
That
well,
is
of
true.
course,
I
like
was
you're
hanging out
hobnobbing
there.
with all the stars, the presidents of the United States. Like it's pretty impressive, Billy.
It's fun.
And the best, I gotta say this too, is in all the years that I've gone to the different or meetings or they're not meetings, they're what would we even call those, the markets, I mean the press junkets. You are always like, you do the best interviews, and you also, no offense to all the other interviewees out there, but you do. And you're so thoughtful in the process of it, at making us feel comfortable, and at the same token, like asking the really good questions.
Well,
Could you just tell me how to do that?
Well, I appreciate that you're saying that, A, but B, you know what? Like I have to, because you're lying, but no, it's a fun job. Like I like talking to people, and you're getting to do it now too. Obviously, you've done entertainment forever, but doing a podcast is really different. I never actually approach it like, hey, I'm doing a show. I literally, when I sit down with somebody, I'm talking to them like I want to get to know them. If I'm at like a basketball game with my kids, I talk to people that way. And for me, it's just like having a conversation. Everybody has a great story. Literally, everybody has a story. So I'm going to try to pull it out of people. And I think, for me, that's been the most compelling part. I feel selfish because I love getting to talk. I mean, I get paid to talk to people. It's amazing.
Where did you go to school? Where did you go to college?
I went to this small school called Mount St. Vincent in Riverdale, Bronx. So in New York City, tiny school, which has actually grown now to university. I went there for journalism, studied journalism, but I was actually working in journalism before. Like when I was 15, I started. So I've been doing this for a long time now. I mean, I started writing, literally got picked up, was traveling, speaking. So I started as a teenager, which is kind of wild. And then I went on and got a master's degree just because I had a scholarship and felt like I should.
And you're
Hunter
smart.
College
Let's just
in New York City.
not forget that part.
Well, I don't know about that.
All
I
right.
try.
So do you feel like is there, if you started so young at this thing, was it, our whole podcast is called Dare to Dream. It's really about, people's dreams that God puts inside of their heart, and what does he do with them, and how do you even find out about that, whether it's the dream that you should chase and follow. And so, but it's interesting that you had this at 15, you started writing. Did you just always feel like you had the gift of I guess journalism is the best way to say it?
Yeah. There were two.
But where
things.
did it
It's
come
funny,
from?
When I go back to being like 3 years old, 4 years old, I was really captivated by entertainment and media. Those two things, like from the minute I can remember. And I knew really early, like I'm talking first, second, third grade, that I wanted to host and write and do these things. Like I just knew that. And I knew that I wanted to live in New York City, which is weird because even though I grew up in Rochester, I had never been in New York City. In fact, I never visited New York City, same state, until I was 18 years old looking at colleges. So, but I just like God kind of put that in me. I just knew like I'm going to end up in this place and this is what I'm going to do. And of course, I can put that into words now. I probably couldn't have then. It's similar to your story, right? I mean, like going into entertainment, having this connection to it. It just, you knew. And I know not everybody has that, but I really felt that, and I tried to listen to it. Not perfectly, because I've tried to do different things that haven't worked, but I tried to listen to it and follow that path.
Was it easy? Did you know, like, let's just say you get your master's, right? You'd already been writing. You'd already been, I would imagine, even hosting shows and whatnot. Yeah. Did you, like, what did you do when you got out of college? You got your master's, your mid-20s, something like that. Where do you go out of that? Like, did you know where to go? Like, because that's a tough thing. Like, were you thinking, hey, I want to end up on one of the major networks, or I want to, what was the dream and the vision, and how did it progress?
I had a path that I wanted, and I think God had this other path, right? And so I think I tried to make this one path happen. And honestly, it could have. I spent a lot of time, first of all, when you go into media or entertainment or anything, you spend a lot of time working for cheap or free. And so I was constantly writing for free. I was constantly doing, look, like even Fox News, some of the big outlets, they don't always pay people to write opinion pieces, right? So I'd be out there. I would go and do TV hits every single week. I wasn't getting paid for it. I had a job, and then I was doing that. So, I was getting paid for some writing things, but the point is you had to show up and constantly work and do things over and over again. And I thought at one point, like, oh, I want to be on Fox, or I want to be on, CNN, or like that was kind of the path I had. But I kept getting driven back to faith, right? It's like I was a Christian my whole life, but I kept feeling God, like, no, you're going to tell stories about faith. Yeah, you're going to cover politics and stuff, but it's going to be through this lens. And finally I was like, okay, fine. Like I got a job at the Blaze with Glenn Beck. And
how old are we? Have we hit 30 at this point, or are we still in our 20s?
No, I was still in my 20s. So
okay.
I think the beginning of my 20s, I was just working, doing a lot of things for free, trying to build a name, and by 25, 26, I landed the job at the Blaze, and that was life-changing. It was huge because the outlet was massive, and I got to host things and do things and learn. And so now, since then, I've really just focused, okay, God, and I really try to do this, like, where do you want me to be? And I followed that, and it's been actually freeing and pretty amazing to do that rather than trying to make this other thing happen.
How long have you been married now?
Oh, gosh, it'll be 17 years.
When you got married, is your wife in journalism as well?
She's not. She's a teacher, actually, and we got married for New York. People get married at like 40 in New York, we got married at 23, so we were the only. None of our friends were married. We hadn't even come into the careers. Like I was working and speaking, but I hadn't landed that job yet. So yeah, she's a teacher. So totally different world for her.
Is she still with your kids too? Is she still teaching today?
She is. Yeah,
wow.
She's a teacher in New York City, in South Bronx.
My gosh, okay, what is it like to live in New York, Dylan? Have you ever thought about living in New York City?
I've actually never been to New York yet.
You've never been
smart.
to New York?
I have not.
Wow. Well, you know what? You did a good job on hanging out and not going to New York the last several years during COVID and everything. I think I think everybody could say that. But pre-COVID, New York was great, and I haven't been back since a couple years now. But all right. So how is it to live in New York? I mean, it just feels like I live in Southern California, right, which is a total breeze out here. I mean, we have nothing but fires and earthquakes and floods. It's super simple. But our weather is and the sun shines shining most of the time. But I also live out in the Calabasas area that is more rural. Yeah. And for our kids, it's easier to send them to schools out there, and you have space and all that stuff. New York just feels like a solid grid of, your neighbors like right here next to you. How is that, especially raising kids there? I can't even imagine that. It seems horrible, Billy.
It's awful.
Except at Christmas when you go down to see lights.
Yeah, and we didn't even do that this year, so we didn't even have the benefit of that. We were going to do it, and then we didn't. But, listen, we've kind of moved further and further out. So we've been able to get out now. So we have access, but we're out. And I'll tell you, since COVID, I spend most of the week in the city. I rarely go in now. I do everything. I broadcast from home. I do everything from home. So it's a different world. But it is, look, you guys have you have the ocean. You have pretty things to look at. California is beautiful. People could debate the other elements of California, but California is beautiful. New York has none of that and all of the other annoying things you mentioned. So it's fun to visit New York, but living in New York is challenging. I think for me, the draw to it was, okay, media. This is where everything is. But the world's changed a lot since COVID now. So you can kind of be anywhere, which is nice.
Are you, it seems like all the reporters, though, like the big reporters, who have shows, also don't live there. It seems like they always they commute in whenever they have to go into the studio, or they have the studios in their houses just like you do. Is that just a thing, that's what a big deal reporter gets to do, like yourself?
I think that is becoming the thing. Even, like Sean Hannity, I believe, is down in Florida. People are moving and they're leaving, and because of technology, you're able to kind of do it from anywhere. And the other thing, I think COVID got us used to looking like the way that we're recording this right now, being able to have, even fewer camera angles, looking at the camera. Like we got conditioned to do that. And I think people actually viewers are preferring that to sort of the studio look. Not that the studio look doesn't matter. I mean, it still matters for certain shows.
Well, we're in a studio right now. We're next to Warner Brothers, for crying out loud. Let's just be honest. We got like 17 cameras here.
I'm talking like the view, though.
Right,
I'm talking about that
one.
setup, not
Dylan,
the cameras.
The camera?
Right.
I mean, I don't see Joy
There's
Behar
one.
there, so you're
No,
doing good with
Joy's
that.
over here, but unfortunately, we just can't see her.
Yeah, well, that's good for all of us. I shouldn't say that, but yeah, I think really realistic. I'm talking about the layout.
love
though,
you,
not
Joy.
so much. We love Joy. I do. I actually find her funny.
How? Okay, so being a reporter, hanging out at the inaugural ball, places like that you normally frequent on a Friday night or Saturday. What is it like to know all these reporters?
It's really
Like, how many are full of crap?
Well, a
Meaning,
lot
can
of
I
people.
say that? Can I actually say that? I feel like I've just crossed over. Our audience may have lost us. They may have just turned. By the way, I hope you guys are on YouTube because you would see Dylan's beautiful face. Look at Billy. Billy looks just like a rock star journalist here. And then I'm just help. They have to have me. But seriously though, from reporter to reporter, I, as an artist who has met different people who have been interviewing me from all the way through over the years, and some amazing big people that I never would have imagined, like I'd be sitting with Larry King or people like that. But Billy's even better than Larry King. No offense, Larry. God bless you. But what do you find? Obviously, they have a persona that they put on, and then there's behind that.
Yeah. Well, it really depends on who you're dealing with. I mean, I think a lot of these people, the best people are the ones who are just real people, right? It's who they are on the screen, is who they are. Is this like you're like a magician and you can't tell the trade secrets of what journalism's really underneath, or are you really going to tell us I think,
for real?
Here's my thing. I think my biggest issue is, how do you present information, right? Like, how do you present it, and are you fair and are you honest? Because we all have our own opinions, right? Like, I have a million opinions about everything, and the way I want to present things is not to be deceptive or trick people. And I think that speaks a lot to character. So there are a lot of people in media who are sometimes a little deceptive.
Are we talking about Joy here? I thought we moved on from Joy.
I didn't want to name people, but I think I do think there's this element though of lying to people to fit a narrative or not telling the full truth. So that's a big problem in media, right? But there's a lot of great things about media. We get our information there, but I think we've seen a bigger problem with that. So I try to gravitate towards people and make friendships with people who I know are the way they are, behind the camera is the way they are in front of the camera. And, that's not everybody. And maybe it's half and half. I don't know.
Do you find, though, it does seem, obviously, the last several years, you said it the best, is that it seems like it's very one-sided.
Yeah,
one way or the
absolutely.
other. And because in all the political shows, especially, it's like they have whatever network it's on, you're getting that version of it for the most part.
Yeah.
Yes, there's the fair and balanced, hopefully somewhere in between. And the networks that I like, obviously, are very fair and balanced. But those networks that other people like are not. I'm just kidding.
Which ones are these?
Well,
David?
we're not going to talk about that. Come on
names.
now.
I'd love
Let's.
to hear the names.
Yeah, exactly. Let's. Hold on a second. Hold on. I got a list here. No, but the I think the interesting thing is when you went to school to become a reporter, was there any of that back then, 10, 15 years ago?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, no,
Was there still a biases? Was it biases? Is that
Bias.
It's a bias, and it is actually
I feel like we should put an ES on it. Biases.
I agree.
Sounds more
I think
sassy.
You can.
Sounds like
biases.
Diasis.
Yes, I think. Well, listen, the journalism professors, a lot of them, I mean, honestly, when you talk about universities and Hollywood and media, I mean, you're in Hollywood, there does tend to be one perspective, right? And that's okay, as long as you're going to be fair to the other perspective. I definitely encountered that in school. I had professors who would say, oh, you can't prove this thing that you're claiming. There was a presidential election, and I was trying to show that maybe that one of the candidates wasn't treated fairly. It was a major thesis paper. They were like, you'll fail that paper if you do it. You can't prove that. There's no information to show that. And they really believed that. But the reality was,
this is all the way back to like poor Jimmy Carter. Is that what we're talking about?
This is like 2006, 2005. Let's go back there.
I don't know.
So this problem is not new. This problem is not new, and it's.
But if you watch the YouTube right now, you're going to see the two main candidates that were running. So that's why you should go to our YouTube. Dylan, have we stopped to mention that people should go to the YouTube at David A.R. White?
No, not yet.
And they should. Please hit subscribe and please comment whether or not you like Billy, whether you want to hear more of Billy,
don't comment. Don't let me know.
or if you think that Billy should do more investigating the supernatural.
Ooh, well, that was a great circle back to.
Well, so where is this? Like, how do people watch this brand new documentary that is coming out here very soon?
March 11th. So March 11th it hits, and they can go to cbn.com/supernatural. All the information is there. And listen, I think this is going to be one, and I think you're going to like it, David. I think you're going to like it a lot because it gets you thinking. It's amazing quality. The director, the team did an amazing job on it. But we went around the country and we found those stories that you can't deny something's going on in these stories. It's pretty powerful.
How long have you been working on that?
So about a year now. It's a little over a year and a half. We've been working on that project, and you know how it is. It's like these projects. It's a miracle to get anything made, right? I mean, you've made a million movies, so you know this. So it took us a long time to find the stories, to vet them, and to film. We kind of had to go. We were in Florida. We were in New Jersey. I mean, we were all over the place.
Yeah.
Collecting.
How many people did you actually? Did you interview some people and you're like, wow, those stories don't quite fit? Like, that's the thing about documentaries, right? Is that it's got to fit into a cohesive through line.
Yeah.
And some of them probably were a little bit off, or you're like, I don't know how we can use this. What do you do with that?
Yeah, we spent a lot of time, actually. That's what took so long. We spent a lot of time going through stories and making sure we had that through line before we started digging in, because, and we were able to do that really easily once we found the right stories. So it was a lot of vetting, and you want stories that are compelling, that have elements that make them more than just, hey, I told you this is a miracle, so I want you to believe it, right? We wanted people to feel it, to see the evidence, to see doctors and others, medical records that sort of showed that somebody was paralyzed on one half of their body for 10 years and now they're not. Well, what changed? That kind of storytelling. I mean, the stories are so good they tell themselves, but
we're running it again. I know we just shamelessly plugged YouTube, but in all seriousness, we are running it right now. And you're going to want to watch this because it looks fascinating, Bill. All right, Billy. So what else? Tell me what you're doing. What's your next inaugural ball? You coming to the Movie Guide Awards next week? What are you doing?
Whoever is going to be the next president, I hope I will be invited to that ball. But I right now, my day to day, I would encourage people to go over to cbnnews.com. I host probably 5 to 10 interviews, a week with lots of great people in entertainment, people like you.
Is Pat Robertson still on CBN?
No, Pat Robertson actually passed away.
Oh, I guess I knew that. I'm sorry, Pat. Wow.
Gordon Robertson, his son.
Gordon is taking it over. Okay. Yeah, I met Pat. In fact, we have a great picture. My last time I met Pat I remember he was 82. And that was a few years back. But the interesting thing was we were talking about Burt Reynolds, because Burt Reynolds started, gave me my start in the career. And they were born the same year. And so, so we were talking. He was asking me about Burt Reynolds and Burt Reynolds' stories, which is, interesting that Pat Robertson would be interested. He's like, don't tell me that, But I'm sad. I forgot that he had passed, and it's a... Anyway, but Gordon's great. I really...
He is. He's phenomenal.
Yeah, he's been great. How long have you been over there now?
About 3 years. Yeah, a little over 3 years, which is crazy. 3.5 years. So,
nice.
It's wild. Time flies.
Do you go to the studio over there? Is that close? No, that's like in Virginia.
It's in Virginia. Yeah. There's Virginia,
Norfolk.
DC. Sometimes I'll go to DC and visit, and I'll go to Virginia, but mostly I'm remote, which is amazing. So...
How often do you have to go in and meet all the heads over there?
I don't go very often. I spend most of my time, I've been traveling on the documentary, so I'm not there that often. I'll be there in 2 weeks, and I'm looking forward to it, to kind of screen the film, and, it'll be exciting to do that. But yeah, I'm not down there all that often, but it's always nice to get down there.
You're going to screen it for them and have a big... Well, there you go. That's your next shindig.
Yes.
Am I wearing my tuxedo to this?
Yes. Yeah. Well, are you coming to National Religious Broadcasters? I
think I am going to be at the NRB because we have.
Then I'll be interviewing you.
All right. Well, because the Last Supper gets released at Easter.
Yes,
so
yes.
Yeah. All right, Billy.
Awesome.
Well, I'm going to have to let you go here because I know you have an interview in 2 minutes that you have to go do. So, Ladies and gentlemen, investigating the supernatural miracles, and the best place, again, Billy, for them to watch that and buy that is where?
cbn.com/supernatural.
What about Billy? Can't we just go to Billy Hallowell's? You should follow him on Instagram.
You can also go to billyhallowell.com, yes.
I love you, Bill. Good to see you.
I love you too. Thank you.
All right. We'll do this again for much longer next time, okay?
Yes, I can't wait.
Appreciate you. All right, guys. Well, as always, Billy is, he's so great.
He's really great.
I always love being interviewed by him and getting to see him. But more importantly, like, I want to hang out with him. Like, those are the great reporters that you feel, you almost feel like you didn't spend enough time with them when it's over. So anyway, guys, we appreciate you, and if you haven't checked it out on YouTube, please go to @DavidARWhite, right? Hit subscribe, and please comment on these episodes. We love to hear your comments and see what you're thinking, and also respond to you. And we appreciate you guys, and hopefully that these episodes encourage you, and God bless you, and make it a great day. See ya.